Welcome to AI ConvoCast, where we bring you the latest in AI and tech innovation. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Let's jump right in.
Today we will be covering OpenAI making GPT-5.5 Instant the new default for ChatGPT, OpenAI opening its ad platform to more US advertisers, Microsoft pushing Copilot Cowork into mobile task execution, and major US AI labs signing pre-release safety testing deals with the federal government. Starting with OpenAI, GPT-5.5 Instant is now the default model inside ChatGPT, replacing GPT-5.3 Instant for hundreds of millions of users. Developers can also call it through the API as Chat Latest, and paid users who want to stick with the older 5.3 Instant have a 3-month grace period before it retires. OpenAI's pitch here is straightforward, and they put it bluntly in the announcement. Because Instant is the daily driver for hundreds of millions of people, small improvements make a big difference. The framing matters because Instant is the low-latency workhorse, the one most people are actually talking to all day. The headline upgrade is reliability in the places where wrong answers cause real harm. OpenAI says GPT 5.5 Instant produced about 52% fewer hallucinated claims than its predecessor on high-stakes prompts in medicine, law, and finance, and roughly 37% fewer inaccurate claims on tough user-flagged conversations. There are also meaningful jumps on math and multimodal reasoning, but the practical change for everyday users is that the model is more concise and less likely to confidently invent things in sensitive domains. Alongside the model, OpenAI is rolling out memory sources across consumer plans, which lets you actually see which saved memories, past chats, or connected context the model pulled from to personalize an answer. That transparency layer has been a long-standing user request, especially as memory becomes more aggressive. Next, OpenAI is also turning ChatGPT ads into something that looks a lot more like a real ad platform. The company launched a beta self-serve ads manager for US advertisers, added cost-per-click bidding on top of the earlier CPM option, and rolled out conversion measurement through a conversions API and pixel-based tools. Advertisers can now register, load payment info, set budgets, upload creative, and check performance in a dedicated portal. And OpenAI named agency partners including Dentsu, Omnicom, Publicis, and WPP, plus tech partners like Adobe, Criteo, and StackAdapt. Analyst Deborah Aho-Williamson told Digiday that Ads Manager, CPC bidding, pixel measurement, and the Conversions API are the basic building blocks advertisers need before they will seriously test ChatGPT. And that quote captures why this is the real inflection point rather than the original pilot. ChatGPT is becoming an intent surface, a place where people are already comparing products and making decisions. And now, performance marketers can actually buy against that intent and measure outcomes. OpenAI says advertisers get aggregated performance data, but no access to individual conversations, which is the company trying to get ahead of the obvious tension here, which is whether AI answers stay trustworthy once they are funded by ads. Moving to Microsoft, the company is expanding Copilot Cowork from a chat experience into something closer to a delegated work agent. The new release brings Cowork to iOS and Android, introduces reusable Cowork Skills, and adds deeper integrations across Microsoft 365, Dynamics, Fabric, and outside business systems. Charles Lamanna summed up the strategy in one line: the next step is helping people take actions. That is the pivot, from Copilot answering questions in a sidebar to Copilot actually finishing work while you do something else. The mobile piece is the most concrete change. You can hand off a task during a commute or between meetings, let it run in the cloud, and come back to a completed output. Cowork Skills are reusable instructions for repeatable workflows like document creation, meeting coordination, and research, and teams can build custom skills for their own processes. The enterprise hook is grounding. Cowork runs on WorkIQ, Microsoft's layer for understanding company data, tools, and organizational context, which is what keeps these agents from going off the rails inside a real business. New integrations include Fabric IQ with Power BI and expanded Dynamics 365 support for things like pipeline reviews, case resolution, and order approvals, with connectors for LSEG, Miro, Monday.com, and S&P Global Energy arriving in the coming weeks. Finally, on the policy front, the Commerce Department's Center for AI Standards and Innovation, housed at NIST, signed new pre-deployment testing agreements with Google DeepMind, Microsoft, and xAI. The deals cover evaluations and targeted research on frontier AI capabilities before those models ship publicly, with a focus on national security-relevant risks. The Guardian reports the testing centers on cybersecurity, biosecurity, and chemical weapons risks, and the agreements support evaluations conducted in classified environments. A striking detail from NIST is that developers often hand over models with safeguards reduced or removed so evaluators can probe what the underlying system is actually capable of, not just what the safety-tuned consumer version will do. CAISI says it has now completed more than 40 evaluations, including on unreleased state-of-the-art models. With prior arrangements already in place at OpenAI and Anthropic, all 5 major U.S. frontier labs are now participating in voluntary government pre-release evaluations, which is a meaningful shift even though the program remains voluntary rather than mandatory. The tension worth watching is exactly that. Every major lab is at the table, but the government's leverage still depends on companies choosing to keep showing up.
Thank you for listening to AI Convo Cast. Please don't forget to rate, review, and share if you like what you hear. Thanks and hope to see you again next time.